Guys, is the screen visible to you? Is it screen okay? Okay, guys. Now, when we come to the concept, previously we are discussing about the Google file system. Okay, we came to the end of the Google file system. We have briefly seen architecture of the Google file system. It contains client, server, master server, and the chunk servers. We have briefly seen about that architecture. Then we have seen general scenario, how to create and store a new file. Okay, how to perform read operations on the file, or how to make write operations on the file, that means modification operations on the file. We have seen briefly about these things in the previous classes. Roughly we have seen about these operations. Okay, now when we reach to the end of that one, now we have to briefly see the advantages of Google file system. Okay, what are the benefits of using this Google file system? What are the drawbacks of using the Google file system? We have to see those two things so that we can wind up this Google file system and we can jump to the Hadoop concepts. Now, when we come to the advantage, okay, one advantage is the size of metadata will be reduced. Okay, already we know that the main duty of the master server is to maintain metadata about the chunk servers. Okay, the details of the chunk servers and the details of the chunks in those chunk servers. Okay, it has to store information about the chunks which are stored in the chunk servers. One advantage here is the metadata size will be reduced in the Google file system. Next, the second advantage is, okay, involvement of master server is reduced by allowing client direct interaction with chunk servers. For the data exchange, for read operation or write operation, okay, the client is allowed to directly communicate with the chunk servers so that the involvement of master server is reduced. Okay, every time the client is no need to communicate with master. At the beginning only, client will communicate with master to know addresses of the chunk servers. After knowing the metadata about the chunk server, client will directly communicate with the chunk servers. In that way, involvement of master server is reduced. Okay, by allowing the client with direct communication to the chunk servers. Next, due to the same point, network overhead is also reduced. Network overhead means traffic in the network. Okay, the traffic in the network is also reduced. Okay, by avoiding repeated communication with the master server. Since the client has no need to communicate with the master server repeatedly, the network overhead is somewhat reduced. Okay, the client is able to directly communicate with chunk servers for read and write operations so that the network overhead is somewhat reduced with the help of this one. Next, when we come to the another point is the lazy space allocation. Okay, here the file, while we are storing the files, it will follow an algorithm called lazy space allocation. By following this lazy space allocation, it is avoiding the internal fragmentation. I think you people have an idea about internal fragmentation and external fragmentation. Am I correct? You people have some idea about internal fragmentation and external fragmentation. ఎక్కడైనా విన్నారండి ఇవి? Do you have these things anywhere else? Internal fragmentation, external fragmentation. ఏమో సార్ అంటారా? మీకు OS లో వచ్చుంటాయండి మెమరీ మేనేజ్మెంట్ లో. ఇంటర్నల్ ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్, ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్. yes, పేజింగ్ హ్యాస్ పేజింగ్ లో డ్రాబ్యాక్ ఇది ఇంటర్నల్ ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్, ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఫ్రాగ్మెంటేషన్ పేజింగ్ కి. I think paging has internal fragmentation, segmentation has the external fragmentation. Exact గా గుర్తులేదండి. Something like that. There you are learning about the internal fragmentation. Internal fragmentation అంటే ఏంది? After storing the data in some partition, inside the partition some space will be wasted. For example, the size of each partition is 10 MB. When we store a file of only 8 MB in that partition, remaining 2 MB inside the partition will be going to be wasted. The size of partition is 10 MB, but we are storing a data of 8 MB only. Remaining 2 MB is internally going to be wasted. That is called internal fragmentation. Okay, by following this lazy space allocation, lazy space means it will allocate the memory slowly. Immediately don't allocate the memory. It will follow the logic of lazy space allocation. So that by following this one, internal fragmentation is eliminated in the Google file system. Next, one more important point is it provides fault tolerance by replicating chunks. Fault tolerance means even though some of the chunk servers failed, the process should not be stopped. Fault tolerance means even though some of the things are failed, some of the components failed, the system should not stop its functioning. That is called fault tolerance. Here also, the Google file system will guarantee the fault tolerance by replicating chunks. We know already each chunk is minimum 3 times it will be replicated. Okay, the default Google file system will store every chunk 3 times in 3 different servers, so that even though some servers are crashed, we don't lose our chunks. That is the called, it is providing the fault tolerance. And one more point is, here the entire Google file system is running on inexpensive commodity hardware. Already we know this point also. The entire Google system is Google file system is designed using inexpensive commodity hardware. Commodity hardware means which is cheaply and frequently available hardware. So this is not too much cost. The equipment will not cost a more. Okay, it is constructed using the cheap and inexpensive hardware only. So the cost of maintaining is also very less. It supports fault tolerance. It avoids internal fragmentation. It avoids network overhead. It avoids involvement of master server. It reduces the size of the metadata. These are the some advantages of the Google file system. Clear, guys, these points. What are the benefits or advantages of this Google file system? Next, when we come to this one, what are the disadvantages of this Google file system? We are jumping to Hadoop distributed file system. Why from Google file system people are moving to the HDFS, Hadoop distributed file system? Some drawbacks are there. First see the last one. Last drawback, first see this one. Then we will discuss the remaining ones. See, the entire Google file system is designed only for the internal operations of the Google only. The Google has developed this file system for its operations only. That means to support its applications only, they developed the Google file system. The Google people developed the Google file system, okay, for supporting their own applications only, not for the outside people. Clear, that is the main drawback of this Google file system. The whole file system is tailored means adjusted. The whole file system can be adjusted according to workloads present in the Google. That means basing on the workload of the Google applications, the Google file system can be changed. We can make modifications to the Google file system. Tailoring means making modifications to the Google file system basing on the workloads present in the Google applications. Okay, the Google file system can be adjusted and tuned, okay, basing on the applications of the Google. Okay, the Google file system or applications of Google can be adjusted and make tuned as necessary. Clear, here from the last point one, what is the point we have to clear is Google file system is mainly developed for the Google applications only. Okay, it is developed for the storing of the data generated by the Google applications. So Google file system can be easily adjusted for the applications of for Google, but it cannot be used happily for the outside applications. That is the one drawback. It is mainly designed for the Google applications only. The next one more advantage is lazy garbage collection. Not only memory allocation, garbage collection is also lazy here. What is the process of, what is meant by garbage collection? What is this concept of garbage collection? When we come to this garbage collection, how can we define garbage collection? Garbage collection means, okay, deallocation of the unused space. Okay, the deallocation of the unused space by the objects is called garbage collection. Automatic memory. Okay, here when we come to in the memory management, garbage collection is deallocation of memory. Okay, memory management will contains two things: memory allocation, memory deallocation. After the use of the objects is over, we have to collect back the memory from those objects. Clear. That is done with this garbage collection. Wow, a good question. GFS means after a long time you have asked a good question. What is the abbreviation for GFS? We came to the end of the concept of GFS. Now you are asking the question, what is GFS? Some people is asking. GFS is the Google file system. Okay, at the end of the concept, you are asking the question, what is the full form of GFS? See, so one more drawback of one disadvantage of Google file system is here it has the lazy garbage collection. That means to recover the space of unused space, it will follow the lazy garbage collection. Immediately, it won't collect the unused space. Okay, whenever the files are deleted, okay, immediately its storage has to be collected back. But here it won't collect the space used by the deleted files. Due to this one, what is happening? Due to this lazy garbage collection, memory problems will come in the future. Okay, for creating new files, memory may not be sufficient. Okay, that is the one more drawback of this one. Lazy garbage collection is the one more drawback in case of Google file system. And one more drawback of the Google file system is this Google file system is best suited for write once, read many times. Okay, this Google file system is best suitable for those files, for those type of files where write once, read any number of times kind of operations. ఓకే, ఒకసారి మనం డేటా స్టోర్ చేసుకుని ఆ డేటా ఎన్నిసార్లు రీడ్ చేసుకునే ఫెసిలిటీ ఉన్న ఫైల్స్ కి అయితే బాగా సూటబుల్ అవుతుంది. ఓకే, ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ సూటబుల్ ఫర్ దోస్ ఫైల్స్ ఫర్ విచ్ రైట్ ఆపరేషన్ ఇస్ రిక్వైర్డ్ ఫ్రీక్వెంట్లీ మోడిఫికేషన్స్ అవసరం అయ్యే ఫైల్స్ ని గూగుల్ ఫైల్ సిస్టమ్ ఇస్ నాట్ సూటెడ్ ఫర్ దోస్ ఫైల్స్ వేర్ రైట్ ఆపరేషన్ ఇస్ రిక్వైర్డ్ ఫ్రీక్వెంట్లీ. ఇట్ ఈస్ బెస్ట్ సూటబుల్ ఫర్ దోస్ ఫైల్స్ వేర్ write operation is only once and read operation can be done any number of times. For such kind of files only it is best suitable. That is one more drawback of the Google file system. Is it clear? The second point, suitable for write once, only read later kind of operations or data. That means it is suitable for those files where write operation is only once and read operation can be any number of times. For such type of files, this Google file system is most suitable. Next, one more drawback, important drawback of this Google file system is this Google file system is not optimal for small sized files. That means small size files. For the small size file, it is not best. Okay, optimal means best. It is not best for small sized files. Sometimes the small size means the file size may be 1 MB, less than 1 MB, like that. Okay, the small size files cannot be happily stored in the Google file system. Why? Because the logic of Google file system is the entire file should be divided into chunks. Okay, equal size chunks, and the chunks will be stored in the various chunk servers. But if the file size is small, okay, it is not possible to create the chunk file because the file size is small. Okay, so that it becomes difficult to handle the small sized files. These are the some disadvantages of the Google file system. One is it is not suitable for small sized files. Next, it is best suitable for write once and read many times kind of files only. Next, one more drawback is it has the lazy garbage collection due to which memory problems will arise. Next, this Google file system is totally is mainly developed for Google applications only. It is mainly developed for Google applications. It is adjustable only with the Google applications. Other applications which are not related to Google may not be adjustable with this Google file system. Is it clear, guys? These are the advantages and disadvantages of the Google file system. Clear? What are the advantages and disadvantages here? Roughly, this is totally about the Google file system. Briefly, one more time, simple one. Advantages are reduced metadata size, reduced involvement of master. Next, network overhead is reduced. Space allocation is avoiding internal fragmentation. Next, provides fault tolerance. Next, hardware components are inexpensive. These are the advantages. Hardware components are inexpensive. Fault tolerance, it provides fault tolerance. It avoids internal fragmentation. It reduces network overhead. It reduces involvement of master. Next, it reduces the size of the metadata. These are the advantages of Google file system. And when we come to disadvantages, it is not so best for small sized files. It is suitable for write ones, work and read many time operations. Next, it has lazy garbage collection. Next, it is mainly applicable suitable for the Google applications only. Okay, this is it can easily adjustable to the Google applications only. The applications which are not related to Google company, okay, for those applications it is not adjustable. This file system is easily adjustable for Google applications only. Why? Because Google developed this application, this file system only for their application, suitable for their applications only, not for the outside world. Clear? These are some advantages and disadvantages of Google file system. Okay, somebody's question is, what is meant by the chunk? Well, how can we define the chunk? Chunk means whenever we have a file, we divide that the file into small parts. Each partition is called a chunk. Clear? Chunk means whenever we have a file, for example, you have 10 MB size file is there. We divide that file into 10 parts. Each file size, part size is 1 MB. Each part is called a chunk, 10 chunks. Normally we call them as partitions or parts. Here technically he is calling those parts as chunks. Chunk means part of a file, simply partition of a file. Is it clear what is the chunk? Next, this is totally about the Google file system. See here the main point we are considering, Google file system is developed only for the sort of only for internal working use of the Google applications only. Later, basing on this Google file system, one more concept was developed that is called the Hadoop. Is it okay, guys? Briefly about the GFS, Google file system. Roughly, we have seen what is Google file system, what is the architecture of Google file system, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of Google file system. Here, clear that part. Now, can I move to Hadoop, or you have any doubts about the GFS? Can I move to Hadoop? No response. Chunk server means nothing but the machines which are storing your chunks are known as chunk servers. Okay, the computers on which we are storing our chunks are called the chunk servers. The machine which is operating all the chunk servers is called the master server. See, we have two servers will be there, master server, chunk server. The machine which where we are storing your chunks. Already I told you, when you have a file of 10 MB, you divide that file into 10 chunks. Okay, the 10 chunks will be stored in different machines. Okay, the machine on which we are storing the chunks are called the chunk servers, and all these chunk servers are maintained by some other person. That is, he is called the master server. Master server is the person who is managing all the chunk servers and clients. Master server will not actually store the data. Master server will only maintain, like he is our principal. Principal will not take any classes for the students. Only he will maintain the entire things. Okay. He will observe whether the classes are going or not, whether students are coming. Everything will be maintained by the principal, but he don't directly take the classes. Similarly, master server will maintain the remaining things. He will maintain the clients, whether okay. He will maintain the clients. He will maintain the chunk servers. Who is actually taking classes in the college? Remaining faculty are actually taking the classes. Principal is not actually taking the class. Even though he is a faculty, he don't take the class. Only he will guide the remaining faculty. Like that, chunk servers will actually store the chunks. Master server will won't store the data directly. He will operate the chunk servers. Is it clear? Now, okay, we are moving to the Hadoop. Okay, after Google file system, we have to see about the Hadoop distributed file system. Before going to that Hadoop distributed file system, we have to know briefly about the basics of the Hadoop concept. What is this Hadoop concept? Okay, what are the reasons for development of Hadoop concept? Then we will see architecture of the Hadoop, advantages and disadvantages of the Hadoop, how to install Hadoop in our system, how to run the Hadoop. We will see these things in the next classes. Clear? When we come to the Hadoop, Hadoop is also a open source framework. That means it is a open source means freely available. Okay, we have no need to purchase. It doesn't have any license. It is an open source software. Okay, Hadoop is an open source framework that allows to store and process big data. Okay, Hadoop is an open source framework, open source platform for storing and accessing the big data in a distributed environment. That means Hadoop is also following the distributed environment only. That means internally it is also following distributed file system only. Hadoop is also supporting the distributed file system only. Okay, Hadoop is an open source platform that allows to store and access big data in a distributed environment across clusters of computers like Google file system. In the Hadoop also, clusters of computers will be there. Groups of computers will be there, from hundreds to thousands of computers will be there, which will form as a cluster. In that cluster, okay, we can store the files or we can access the files in a distributed environment. I think already you have some idea about the distributed file system, distributed environment. You have some idea. Clear. Hadoop is also similar to the Google file system. Will be useful for storing and accessing big data in a distributed environment. Okay, across clusters of computers. That means across groups of computers. Clear. This Hadoop will contain from single server to thousands of machines will be there in the Hadoop cluster also. Okay, from a single server to groups of clusters of thousands of machines are there. Okay, for storing the data and for accessing the data of the files. Okay, from single server to hundreds and thousands of machines are there in the Hadoop also. We will see that one in the architecture of Hadoop. We will briefly see this one. So from this introduction point, first what we have to consider is Hadoop is also similar to the Google file system, but this is the open source framework for accessing and processing the big data only. Is it clear? Hadoop is the open source one. First point is it is the open source framework. Next, it also follows the distributed file system environment only. It also follows the distributed file system environment only. It also contains the clusters of computers. That means from single server to hundreds and thousands of computers will be there in the cluster of the Hadoop also, similar to our Google file system. And when we come to this one, before this Hadoop and Google file system, okay, what is the traditional approach? Okay, before this Hadoop or Google file system, what is the traditional approach we are following? మనకు హ్యూజ్ బిగ్ డేటా ఉందనుకోండి, హౌ వీఆర్ స్టోరింగ్ ద డేటా మీన్స్ మనకు బాగా తెలిసింది ఏంటి? ఓకే, వీఆర్ యూజింగ్ సమ్ database vendors. We are using some database softwares like Arkill, okay, Arkill or MySQL or something, okay, IBM DB2 like that. We are using various database softwares are there. In the traditional approach, we are using some traditional database softwares we are using, and user, okay, by using some centralized system, by using some system, he is storing his data in the relational databases. In our lab, we have used the Arkill. I think you have used the Arkill or MySQL. Like that, many database softwares are the relational database softwares are there. Okay, we are users are using the relational database softwares. Okay, through some centralized system, he is storing his files in the relational databases. Okay, that is the traditional approach. Before the Google file system or Hadoop file system, what is how the user is accessing his data means he is storing and accessing his big data files Okay, using some database vendors, using some software developed by the database vendors like Oracle, IBM. He is he is using some relational database software for storing his data and for accessing his data. This is the previous approach of before Hadoop distributed file system and the Google file system. Before GFS and HDFS, he is using the normal database software. I think you have some idea about this concept. Okay, how to store the data in the database, how to retrieve data from the database, how to do various operations on the data in the database. Previously, before HDFS and GFS, user is storing his data files in relational databases. Okay, here the drawback of this concept is, okay, this relational databases softwares can handle the less amount of data only. Okay, but when we come to the huge amount of data, big data itself indicates the huge volumes of data. These database softwares cannot handle the huge data volumes of data. Okay, this traditional approach of using the database softwares will not support the huge volumes of data. Okay, for handling the huge volumes of data, it is very difficult for those database software. That's why some other file system is required instead of database software. Some other file system is required. Clear? Before, traditionally, what are the process we are following is before HDFS and GFS. Traditionally, we are storing our data files in the database software. Okay, but the drawback of that approach is it can handle only limited volume of data. When the data is increased too much, huge volumes of data cannot be handled by the database servers. That's why some other method is required for handling huge volumes of data. Is it clear, guys? Previous technique. Previously, we are following the traditional approach. Okay, for this drawback, the drawback of the traditional database software is they can handle only the limited amount of data. Okay, for this one, Google proposed a solution called MapReduce algorithm. Okay, to handle the huge volumes of data, Google proposed a solution called MapReduce solution. What is this MapReduce technique? Is actually this is complete third unit is MapReduce. We will learn more deeply in the MapReduce in the third unit. Briefly, what is this MapReduce is? First, the entire huge data is divided into small parts. The huge volumes of data will be divided into small parts, and each part is assigned to different computers. Okay, for example, if you have a huge data of 1 GB data is there, we divide the 1 GB data 10 parts, 100 MB, 100 MB, like the 10 parts we will divide. Okay, these 10 parts will be given to 10 different computers. So that analysis of a huge volume of 1 GB data is difficult. So we are dividing the 1 GB into 100 parts, and 100 machines are analyzing each part. So that parallelly, the 10 machines will analyze the 10 parts of the data. That is the main concept of MapReduce. The main logic of the MapReduce algorithm is divide the huge collections of data into small parts, and the small parts are assigned to different computers, so that the different computers will perform analysis of that small parts parallelly, and finally the result of all the computers will be integrated to form the original result. Clear? The data is divided into small parts, and the data is given to different computers. After each computer performed analysis of that small part of data, the result will be integrated, and finally the final result will be given back to the user. Instead of analyzing all the data by a single machine, the data will be divided into small parts, and each part will be given to one machine, so that the analysis will be done parallelly, and the final result will be given to the user. This is the briefly what is the logic of this MapReduce algorithm. Google proposed this MapReduce algorithm as the data is increasing. Since the database servers are unable to handle the total huge data, Google proposed a solution called MapReduce algorithm. The concept of this MapReduce algorithm is divide the huge data into small partitions, and each partition will be given to different machines. All the machines will parallelly analyze the data, and the results of those machines will be integrated to form the final result, which is hand over to the user. That is briefly this one, Google MapReduce algorithm. Google proposed this algorithm basing on the Google solution, MapReduce algorithm given by the Google, basing on the MapReduce algorithm that is given by the Google. Okay, Dow Cutting is the name of the scientist who developed this Hadoop. Okay, Dow Cutting and his team developed an open source project called Hadoop. Okay, Hadoop is mainly basing on the MapReduce algorithm. The basic algorithm behind the Hadoop is the MapReduce algorithm, which is developed by the Google systems. The Google systems has developed the MapReduce algorithm. By using that MapReduce algorithm, Dow Cutting and his team has developed a open source project called Hadoop. Clear. This Hadoop is completely written in Java language. This is purely developed in the Java language, and it is not OLAP. OLAP means online analytical processing. I think you have some idea about OLAP. Did you anybody have idea about OLAP? Any one of you have idea about OLAP? Winner and award OLAP. ఎక్కడైనా విన్నారా? DWDM లో వచ్చి ఉంటదండి. I think in DWDM multi dimension analysis లో వచ్చి ఉంటుంది మీకు OLAP టెక్నాలజీ. Okay, multi dimension analysis లో OLAP. Okay, Hadoop is developed in written in Java, and it is not OLAP. It does not follow the OLAP technique. That means multi-dimension analysis. It don't follow the multi-dimensional analysis concept. ఈ పాయింట్స్ మళ్ళీ మన ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ లో క్లియర్ గా చూద్దాం. ఈ OLAP ఎందుకు ఫాలో అవుతుంది ఏంటనేది. క్లియర్. Here important point is it is developed by Dow Cutting, basing on the MapReduce algorithm developed by the Google. Dow Cutting has developed this Hadoop. It is completely written in the Java. Currently, Facebook, Yahoo, Google, Twitter, LinkedIn, all these applications are using this Hadoop. Hadoop is used by these famous applications which we regularly use in our regular life. Clear? In this Hadoop, we can add new machines in the cluster. We can increase the size of the cluster by adding any number of computers. అది ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ లో మళ్ళీ చూద్దామండి ఈ పాయింట్ క్లియర్ గా. ఓకే, వీ కెన్ ఇంక్రీజ్ ఇట్స్ స్కేల్ బై యాడింగ్ నోడ్స్ ఇన్ ద క్లస్టర్. క్లస్టర్ లో కొత్త సిస్టమ్స్ యాడ్ చేసుకుంటూ వెళ్ళొచ్చు. మీకు సైజ్ ఇంకా హడూప్ సైజ్ పెరగాలి అంటే హ్యూజ్ డేటా వచ్చే కొద్దీ సైజ్ పెంచుకుంటూ వెళ్ళొచ్చు హడూప్ సైజ్ కూడా. క్లియర్. ఆల్రెడీ వీ నో హడూప్ మెయిన్లీ రన్స్ ఆన్ ద యూజింగ్ ద algorithm MapReduce algorithm. Okay, Hadoop applications will run basing on the concept of MapReduce algorithm, where data is processed in parallel. ఇదంతా మళ్ళీ మనం నీట్ గా నేర్చుకుంటూ వద్దామండి. క్లియర్. This is the before introduction of the before starting of the Hadoop. Okay, due to the drawbacks of Google file system, again another file system is needed by the outside people. Okay, mainly the drawback of the traditional approaches is before GFS and HDFS, the traditional approach is the use of database software. The database software can access only limited amount of data. Huge volumes of data cannot be handled by those softwares. So another file system is required. For this, Google proposed a algorithm to solve the problem of analysis of huge volumes of data. That algorithm is the MapReduce algorithm. Basing on the MapReduce algorithm provided by the Google, Hadoop was invented, which is developed purely in the Java language. Clear. This is the basics of the Hadoop. Before Hadoop, what is the things? Okay, now onwards we have to see completely about this Hadoop. Next we have to see architecture of the Hadoop, advantages and disadvantages of the Hadoop, and remaining things we will see in the future classes. Is it clear, guys? Briefly. Any doubts in the today's class?